Hello, hello. How is everyone doing? Welcome to today's really fun live stream. Honestly, I think this is one of my favorite kinds of live streams because I, even though I know what instruments I have in front of me, I don't really know what I'm walking into in terms of what we'll discover today with these instruments. So, you know, it's it's great. So I don't know how many of you guys saw my little promo that I made yesterday for this. I have taken to opening these on camera but off stream because I think it's a little better for me to be able to promo, the live stream with the actual the names of the instruments. I think you guys, will know more what you're walking into. And the other thing too is that every now and then, sometimes in shipping, or the actual shipping itself, can sometimes cause instruments to sort of need a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of repair. So all of these instruments, by the way, are play tested by the Flute Center before they come over, before they get to your door if you are, ordering through the Flute Center. So usually if you are seeing any kind of damage or anything, sometimes shipping companies are not that gentle with the boxes. So sometimes things can get sort of knocked around and stuff like that. So we did have an experience earlier in another stream where the shipping actually dented one of the, what are they called? It's that little thin joint. My brain is not really working right now. I can't remember what it's called. There's a very specific name for it. But yeah, it got dented during the shipping. So I wasn't able to try it during that one stream. The tenon, that's it. Thank you, Nicholas. So so the tenon, especially on a flute, is so thin that it's very, very easy to dent. And I'm guessing that box got thrown around like crazy because I could see exactly where it was dented against the inside of the case. So that is not the Flute Center's fault. That is the shipping, the handler's fault. So I thought it would be a little bit safer from now on to check the instruments, make sure they look okay, before I stream for you guys. Because at the very least, just look at them. I'm still not putting them together, and I'm not trying to play them before I play it for you guys. It's just from a quick look at it. I'm just trying to make sure that it's all okay. So I know that is a little bit of change for some of you, that you're kind of wondering why I no longer open it on stream. I don't want to take that away from you completely, so that's why I've opted to take them out and open the box on camera, but edited into a short. Yeah, you've also had a flute scare story. Go ahead and tell it, man. I'm down to I'm down to hear a story or two. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to explain that to you guys so that you guys know why I'm making the decisions that I'm making right now. I think altogether it makes for a better experience, both for you as the viewer and also for me as the reviewer. So yeah. Well, let's see where we're at with the poll. So I put up a poll asking what you guys want to see first. So it looks like you guys want to see the Nuvo flute first, and then the Yamaha 91 piccolo and the Pearl Cantabile. Okay, I'm going to leave it up for a little bit longer while I catch up with you guys. I do want to call out all your names first and say hi to each and every one of you that is currently here. So hello, Midnight Moth. Hey, Michael. Hello, Cranky Goldfish. Hello, Mateo, Victor, Donna. Let's see. Deanna. Hello, Beth. And Nicholas, hello, just another flute guy. Is this a Discord jacket? Yes, this is. I will tell you the story of how I got this. This is I don't think they make this anymore. So, let's see. Jay Shu, hello. Hey, John, how are you doing? Jody, hello, hello. Yes, so, by the way, guys, we do have a Discord server that is made and run by you guys. So if you guys want to join, it is... Hopefully my bot works. Hopefully. I have not really poked my bot in a very long time. Nightbot's awake. Okay, so that is the invite link into our Discord server. It's a really fun time. Everyone's just a really, you know, fun nerd about what we do. The whole point of that little Discord server is just to have a community for you guys to like share with. You can share your successes, your struggles, you know, like stories, like flute stories. You know, if you wanted a community to really just kind of like be nerds with, be flute nerds with, like this is the place to be. So in terms of this particular jacket though, it's like a zip up hoodie is really what it is. This is actually embroidered. This is really, really nice quality. And the lining for the hood is really, really nice too. Tends to have, you know, like that's a potion bottle, a lot of game related things. You know, you can see like a crystal or rupee or whatever that might be. So this was back when Discord was new. So they had quite a large booth at PAX. Penny Arcade Expo, which is a very big video game convention in Seattle. And good God, I don't even know when that might have been. 2016, something like that. 20 something like that. And they were fairly new at the time. A lot of people were actually still using something like Skype to game online with their friends. And we tried out Discord actually at the giant Discord booth at PAX where they were like really promoting Discord. And then they had, you know, they had merch. And I noticed how high quality their merch was, because normally this stuff is just printed on. And you normally never see the hood lined like this. It's really high quality. So even though it was very expensive, I think this thing was, I don't know, probably $55, something. It was, I remember it being very steep. And I was like, whatever, I'm going to buy it anyway. It's really nice quality. And I don't think they make this anymore. I don't think so. I think this is like, essentially this is like early Discord days, like merch. So yes, I have a Discord hoodie, but that's the story of how I got that. So if any of you are joining and you're wondering why the heck would Joanna go to a video game convention, it's because that is one of my hobbies. So you know, when I'm off hours, I game. I do a lot of gaming, and you know, definitely more so when I'm on vacation, actual vacation. But like, it is a hobby, and I love it partially because of the beautiful music that you get to listen to while you play, and I love it so much. Oh my goodness. I'm looking at your horror stories. Let's see. So, Nicholas, you shipped your pal out of state for your flute tech. You were told it'd be shipped back to the prof's office, but for some reason it didn't make it to the School of Music. But to an off-campus mail room, which you found through your air tag. So you tracked it down. When you got there, the mailroom had it standing on the side in the far back corner. Oh, and this happened twice? So the second time, similar situation, but they left it at the drama office instead of the building where prof's office is because the usual officer was not in the music office. You had to hunt down your flute bow time. What? Oh my gosh. You must have been so like, you know, that must have been crazy heart pumping. Hello, Megan. How are you? Okay, did I miss anyone in here? I also saw someone else is enjoying Just Another Flute Guy, Nicholas's Chem Voyage clots. I'm still enjoying them. These guys make it into my laundry every single week because I use them that often. All right, let's see. Anything else? Donna, looks like you own an older pearl Cantabile, gold bonded, and you play it with a Monka Mopani wood head. With a gold tube and riser. That sounds like mine. Mine is also a Monka Mopani wood like lip plate, and it's gold tube and riser as well. Twinsies. Okay, lovely. Moral of the story is always keep an air tag in your case cover. Worth it. Yes. Here you go. Cheers, Victor. I do have a huge thing of water here this time, so I'm really happy about that. You're the odd one out with the cheapest silver Monka with grenadilla lip riser. Honestly, you got lucky with that price point. You know what I mean? Like the fact that your body likes sterling silver, you got lucky. You absolutely got lucky. Okay. Well, I think we should get started. So I'm taking a look here. It looks like Nuvo Flute has won. So let's go in the order that the poll votes have come in. So I'm going to end the poll now. Okay, so the order is Nuvo Flute first. So I got our Nuvo Flute. And then the Yamaha 91 Piccolo. And then the Pearl Cantabile with the Forte and Calore head joints. I hope I'm saying it correctly. I think it's Calore. I think. You guys can feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I have no qualms with being corrected. Totally awesome to be corrected because that means I learned something new. Okay, so since we're starting with the Nuvo, I think I first want to tell you guys why I am so excited. And I know that some of you guys may have already heard this story before, but I'm going to guess that some of you have never heard this story before. So back when I was a kiddo, when I was a really, really, really little kiddo, we're talking, I'm like 4 years old, okay? I saw someone play the flute on the TV. I will bet it was Sir James Galway. I'll bet. Because which other flutist was just randomly on TV, okay? So I saw a flutist on TV, fell in love. Like I just fell in love and became instantly forever obsessed with the idea of playing a flute. So as it turns out, behind my back, my parents went to our local music store and asked, hey, can our 4-year-old daughter start learning the flute? And at that time, they were like, no, she's too small. And I get it because at that time, they did not have flutes that were small enough, light enough for small, tiny little 4-year-olds to play. These days, they do. They make these flutes that have like the curved head joint plus like a chopped off foot joint. So they chop off the C sharp, C, and B keys entirely. They're gone. So you only get one little pinky key. And so that's called the D sharp key. And so those are really, really tiny and light. I think they also take off like trill keys and stuff like that just to make it as light as possible. Back then, those flutes did not exist. If you got a curved head joint, it was still the full flute, but with a curved head joint. And so they said, come back when she's 9. And so in between waiting for my parents, my dad mostly, to bring me to, like, I didn't know that I was waiting for it because they didn't actually tell me that they inquired. They kept it in the back of their minds. So in the in-between, between when I saw this flutist on TV when I was 4 up until I was 8, I would very frequently take this little plastic fife, toy fife that I would, play on. I think it was more of a penny whistle, like a plastic penny whistle. And behind the couch, because I didn't really want to be spotted doing this, because I didn't really want to be made fun of by my family. It was more just like because I was just like in my own head and dreaming about it, and then I didn't want people like pointing out that I'm playing pretend. So I would pretend this is the fife, right? I would put it like this, and then I would just like pretend that I was playing the flute, and I would do this behind the couch, and I did this a lot. Like, this is one of my like core memories as a child. And I remember thinking to myself, I would like, why can't there be a toy version of a fully working flute? Like, to my kid brain, I was like, why wouldn't you be able to make that? Like, of course, not knowing how complicated the mechanism is or anything like that. My kid brain was just like, why can't I just like play a flute but have it be plastic and a toy, Now, fast forward to several years ago now. I heard about Nuvo. I've heard about Nuvo for a very, very long time. They made actually a big hit in the flute world when they first came out, because people were making a lot of like meme videos of them playing this in the shower and stuff like that. I don't know. Do you guys remember that like a lot of people were doing this? This thing is completely plastic, and I believe all the pads are like silicone or something like that. And so you can get the whole thing wet and nothing happens to it. And so, yeah, lots of people were just like playing it in the shower. I believe the first time I tried a Nuvo was at the Seattle Flute Festival in 2013, I believe. I think it was 2013, which is more than 10 years ago now. Yeah, there you go. See, your prof has one too, leaves it in her office on her bookshelf. I was very excited about this. However, at that time, I could not actually really justify, I think the price range for this is anywhere from like a 150 to 200-ish, something like that. Let's see how much this one is. Yeah, this one is 140. And I just could not justify at the time, because it's pretty early on in my career. I couldn't really justify purchasing, something for like about $150. And have it just kind of sit on my shelf. Like if I bought something expensive, I needed to be using it constantly. So I just kind of held off on purchasing it, even though I tried it at the Seattle Flute Festival 2013, and I actually kind of fell in love with it. I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was, I was like, man, this is the toy flute of my childhood dreams, like this is it. Like, this was my dream, was to like be able to just play around on a toy flute that is fully working flute. Now, many years after that, you guys, so this was not caught on stream here on YouTube. This was more on Twitch, when I was hiding on Twitch. And so one of you guys bought me not only a Nuvo flute, and specifically the one I wanted, which is the black carbon fiber one, because it looks cool. They also got me the Nuvo toot, which is essentially a more practical version of what I was doing behind the couch. So here we go. This one is my black one, which I'll show you guys later, because I'm actually kind of curious to see, I think you guys can see that it's longer, right? So this one apparently has the full-sized head joint, whereas this one has what's called a donut head joint. So this is a shortened head joint, but I think it's kind of like those wave head joints, but like squashed together. Um, so, and then, so it makes it, I think, shorter and thus easier for, you know, little 4-year-olds to play it. So I just kind of want to see what is the difference between the two. It looks like they're both the same version, which is the, you know, this is the Student Flute 2.0. This is the J Flute 2.0 as well. So they do seem to be the same version, like generally the same version, but this one is the donut head joint. This one is a regular head joint. So, but I did want to show you, even though Flute Center did not actually send this to me, but I feel that this review would be completely incomplete if I did not show you guys what else Nuvo offers. So it's just, this stuff is really good to know about if you're a teacher, especially. So this is the Nuvo Toot, which features you know, this is actually a full like flute lip plate. But you're using essentially kind of like 5 fingerings. And it even has like a pinky key here. So I like that this is essentially an in-between. So it's not full on holes. You get the feel of using mechanism. This can, you know, introduce kids to the feeling of playing on, you know, moving keys. So I think it's really cool. It comes with a fingering chart. So, and it also comes, this is the part that I really like. It also comes with a special lip plate that essentially transforms this into something that you can play like a penny whistle, like a fife, or like a penny whistle. So they give you a little, like a little doodad, a little tool here. And what you do, I'm so sorry that this is black and so it's really hard to show on camera, but there's a little tab on the outside of the lip plate, and you can jam this tool, the tip of this tool underneath that tab, and it'll pop the whole lip plate off. So let's hope that I can show you guys adequately here. Oh, I think I popped this on weird. Did I pop this on weird? From when I was last showing a student of mine. There we go. You guys hear that? I know that sounded really awful, like it's a horrible crack, but it's off now. And then instead, you can snap this guy on. So again, you want to look for the little tab on the outside, and then you can just snap that on. So here we go. Hear that snap? Okay, this is essentially an improved version of what I did behind the couch. So let me show you what it's like. Some of the fingerings are definitely different. I wonder what What is an F sharp on this? Oh my. Let's see. So an F sharp is, oh. So anyway, I think that's all I should really play on here. Although I think you guys should hear what the regular lip plate sounds like too. So let me pop that off real quick here. All right, so we're jamming this thing in here. There we go. And then we are going to pop this guy on. There we go. You hear that? Okay. I am very impressed with the quality of the Nuvos. Here we go. Like, it should not actually sound that good. Okay, I swear, guys. I would be saying the same thing, and I have actually said the same thing about this before. When Flute Center was not carrying this. Okay, so like, I personally am very impressed with this thing. I think it's fantastic to teach kids on this. It's much more comfortable for them. They get used to the mechanism, like that there is mechanism. The fingerings are fairly close to like regular fingerings on the modern metal flute. So, you know, and they can do a transition between just blowing on the penny whistle embouchure to an actual flute embouchure. I think it's stunning. It's amazing. So anyway, what we want to look at now, I'm just going to put that on the side, but keep it open so it can dry. It is plastic, so I don't actually really have to swab it out, but we're just going to leave that there. Okay, so now we're just going to make a little bit of room here. And we are going to take this baby out. So yeah, this one is going to be so good for younger students who want to play a full flute but need something very light and like shorter. So light, shorter, but with the full mechanism so they can learn their fingerings properly, learn good posture. Ooh, this is a different case than mine. I wonder if they make the case like this for the model that I have now. So this might be a change here. Oh, sorry guys. Okay, so very nice. So there's little snaps here. Oh, so it opens more like a real flute case. Look at that! It really does open more like an actual flute case. That's great. Excellent, excellent. Okay, so we have here, I like that Flute Center ended up sending me a green one. Okay. Oh, interesting. The flute is suspended in here. So this case actually works more like a Weissman case. That's interesting. Okay, so what you can see here immediately, you see that this is already an offset G, but for small fingers, they've actually offset it even more. This is really great for small kids then. So this I don't have on my flute, which I'll show you guys in a bit. You guys can see here what I was talking about. There is only a D sharp key. The rest of the foot joint is gone. It is cut off. So this makes it much, much better for kids to play, because then the balance of it isn't so crazy offset. It's kind of like me playing a B foot joint. Like you end up having a lot of getting a lot of tension in your wrist and thus in your hands from just kind of lifting up too much weight on the right side of the flute. But I think what I like about this, that this can afford to have, because it's plastic and therefore lighter, it can have all the auxiliary keys. So you have the trill keys here. You even have a B flat lever. That's amazing. You got your B flat thumb as well. Yeah, that's really great. And I do find it really funny that there is a D sharp roller here for absolutely no reason at all. I think that's so funny. I think it's more that they use the same part for a different flute. Like it looks like you can possibly pop this off and get a full foot joint. I think the idea is for you to be able to, it's like almost like modular, so you can upgrade it as you grow. So I'm just curious if I can pop this off. Can I pop this off? I think you can. Yep. I popped it off. So yeah, this is what the end looks like when you don't have the rest of the foot joint on. So yeah, I think you can just essentially keep upgrading. But for now, yeah, so you pop it in and then you turn it to tighten it. Cool. Okay. So we've got that, and then we have here, this is basically the curved head joint part. See that? This is the curved head joint, and it has the same idea. So you can actually pop off this lip plate entirely and use the included penny whistle embouchure, I guess is what I'm calling it. I'm sure they have a completely different name for it. Excellent. So they all come with a little bit of grease. I personally have never used it, simply because I don't play it often enough to need it. But they do tell you to apply very sparingly. Looks like they give you, okay, I'm gonna try not to ruin this too much. They give you a cleaning cloth. So this is like a pull through little string. Very cool, very cool. So I will take this out though, because I feel that the review will be incomplete if I do not try out the penny whistle embouchure. So we've got a little doodad, a little tool to pop this off. Looks like we got a shoulder strap as well. Very cool. I'm very impressed with the case because it suspends the flute. This is Weissman style case. I'm very impressed. I wish that mine looked like this. I really wish, but it seems like maybe this was just a, an update that they had going along. Yeah, so Flute Enthusiast is saying, yeah, it's upgradable to C-foot and regular head joint. Yep. This middle joint is exactly the same as on mine, except that I don't think I have these little extensions here for the A key and the G key. Yeah. You can also get other keycap colors to show where to put your fingers. Oh, that's so cool. Thank you, Flute Enthusiast. Yes, Nuvo setting up the beginners for success. Exactly. Are the pads moisture resistant? As far as I understand, yes. That's what I have heard, at least. Also, hello, Connor, if you're still watching. Okay, wonderful. So let's put this together. Let's put it together as it looks here. So we're just going to do this. I'm going to switch back to this so you guys can see what I'm doing. So cool. This is very, very cool. I love this. Okay, well, let's put it through the ringer. So we're going to do all of my normal things. Gonna do harmonics. We'll do tone color, articulation, mechanism. I guess with tone colors with dynamics as well. Let me know, guys, if I have left anything out. Oh, this is so comfortable. Do you see how small my hands are? Do you see how this looks natural on me? Like I don't look like I'm cramping myself up. This is how small I am. Okay, I know that some of you guys are like, you know, think that I am normal sized. I'm not. I'm quite short. Look how comfortable that looks. Oh my gosh. I am an actual child. Okay, here we go. I would have loved this as a kid. Would have loved this. All right, dare I say, I think they have updated their lip cut, because this is a lot more rich than I was expecting. It's has a lot of core to the sound, and yeah, I'm just very impressed with how full it is, because my carbon fiber Nuvo has a much more like woodsy sound to it. Like it's much thinner, woodsier. This has like a really beefy sound. Probably shouldn't try and go higher than that. I was absolutely overblowing it the first time. So it doesn't take a lot of air. You'd still need to increase the speed of your air as you go higher and higher. But do you guys hear, like, Parvier is, hello, Parvier, and Tomash, hello. Parvier noticed that the tones are richer than you were expecting. Same here. It is richer than I was expecting as well. So I think they have absolutely improved the design over these many years. So yeah, wow. I'm very impressed. Like, this is terrible because now I want a new one. No! Okay. So they don't take a lot of air, which is perfect for kids, right? So, and you still get like a very rich sound all throughout. In terms of kind of the range of motion, I did prepare, guys. I did prepare my little paint thing. So let me grab my drawing tablet. Oh, okay. So I want to show you guys what I'm feeling personally. So let me head here. Okay. So, right. I have not, let's see. I have not prepared this. So you guys are going to see me drawing this. Okay. We're just going to pretend like this is anatomically correct. Okay. And then let's see. So, I feel that I'm just going to draw little spirals where I feel the air sitting per note. So it all stays mostly in the front of the mouth. Again, this is perfect for kids because kids have smaller mouths, or, you know, most kids have smaller mouths. So the low notes sit pretty far forward though. So kids may have a little bit of it might be a little bit of a challenge for kids to get the really low notes to come out. I'm just going to try it again really quick. Yeah, it's where I thought it was. So like if I need to draw some lips too. So we're gonna draw some lips. No. Okay. Sorry for the really bad lips. Okay, something like that. Okay. So low notes sit around, like you can feel the air concentrated around here, like right on top of your lower lip. And then as you go higher and higher, you start to tuck where you're concentrating that air bubble. You're going to concentrate that air bubble here as you go higher and higher. So this is low D, and then you kind of like make your way up here. This one, it was around high A. So your middle register mostly sits around here, like this area. Like this would be mostly middle register. Sorry for the horrible penmanship. Haven't done this in a while. So because that middle register is like essentially like, you know, you concentrate that air bubble around your teeth or like right behind your teeth. This tends to be a very, very natural place where people like to concentrate their air. Like I would say a lot of people, I think, tend to want to concentrate their air, like their air bubble around there. So I think this is probably one of the reasons why it makes this so easy to play. We'll just put here, this is the Nuvo. I feel like this is very similar to how my carbon fiber one sounds and or feels, but I'm getting a much richer sound out of this than out of my carbon fiber one. So I do think that Nuvo has really done a lot of really great work to improve their product. I think this is really, really fantastic. So we shall now go back to here because I need to do some tone color stuff now. So let's do tone color and dynamics and see what happens. Wow. extremely impressed, guys. I'm so impressed. I cannot get that range of tone color on my carbon fiber one. There ain't no way. That's really impressive. This is also much louder in general than my carbon fiber one. Just in general is much louder. So in my like experience, a lot of people when they first start playing the flute, they're very surprised by how loud it is. Well, you know, when you play with a full tone, especially because it's happening right here. This, I feel, is a much better approximation of how loud a metal flute is. I'm not saying real flute because this is a real flute, right? But this approximates the volume of a metal flute much better than my carbon fiber one. My carbon fiber one, for sure, I feel like it's much softer and much more muted. So I feel, again, this is a really great way to prepare kids, especially, for that loudness. You kind of have to get used to how loud a flute is, because if you don't, you end up suppressing your own playing. So you won't support as well. Your airstream will be much weaker. You'll tend to crack low, especially a lot, because you're just not putting enough power into the instrument. So I'm very impressed with that. I'm extremely, extremely impressed with that. Okay, so but yeah, so I think because this thing can go so much louder, I think it has increased the range of tone color. You guys can hear that I can go really rich. Now I'm very surprised at how rich I can get. And then I can go into that more woodsy sound. So I'm doing kind of your normal thing, which is I'm thinking of a very wide vowel, like in my mouth, and then going into ooh for the woodsy sound. So wide, flat opening inside of your mouth, and thus the airstream that comes out of you will also be wide and flat, and then a very thin circular airstream for that hollow sound. So yeah. Hello Vincent, hello Mocker, hello Eric. How are you guys? Hello bass flauto. Is it bass flute alto? Bass flauto. I like it. That's a good name. But anyway, I'm very impressed. That's extremely impressive. So let's see how loud and how soft we can get. So it's along the same lines. You don't lose it. That's impressive. The control on this flute is impressive. Wow. You can get very loud and very soft. And what I like too is that you're getting loud and getting soft in a way that is consistent with how it feels on most metal flutes. So again, this really very nicely replicates how it feels on a metal flute. So when you eventually upgrade to a metal flute, you are used to all of the things of how a metal flute plays. I would say that has been my biggest critique of plastic flutes. There aren't many plastic flutes out there that can truly replicate how a metal flute feels. This, I'm very impressed. Yes, it still has, it's still a tiny bit more woodsy, more muted than a metal flute, but not by far. This is a very close replica, a very close representation of what it actually feels like to play a metal flute, which is perfect. Because that's what you want. You want kids, especially who are learning on this, to actually feel a very close replica of how it feels to actually play a metal flute. Because the last thing you want is for kids to upgrade to a metal flute and feel like they have to learn everything all over again. This one actually replicates what it's like to play a metal flute. That is very, very extremely impressive. Thank you, Slim Dancer. I appreciate it. I'm just saying all the things that I would like to know as a teacher. That's how I guide what I talk about. Like, I'm like, what would I want to know as a teacher doing research into these types of instruments for my students? So that's what I'm talking about. Okay, so we've done harmonics, tone color, dynamics. Let's do some mechanism stuff. So I'm going to be running some scales, and we will loop in some articulation stuff as well. For what it is, it's pretty darn impressive. I would say that the feeling of the mechanism, very similar to what I am used to on my own carbon fiber one. If you are a seasoned player, you're going to feel like the key mechanism is lagging, like it's kind of slow. However, this is not actually a bad thing for a kid. So it kind of helps them, like, not react too quickly, if that makes sense. It sort of like smooths out their technique for them. So the mechanism is a little slow, but I don't actually think that's a really bad thing for especially a beginner flute like this. The other thing is, again, if you're a seasoned player and you're playing this, you're going to feel like it's very chunky and clunky. And it's really because there are just so many plastic moving parts. So you're going to feel like it's like, wow, very, it just feels very chunky, very clunky. So, you're not going to get this, obviously, you're not going to get the same insane responsiveness as a professional model flute. That's not what this is, okay? So, however, it all works, and they're like evenly chunky. Does that make sense? Like, they're all clunky in the same way. Because the worst is if part of the flute is clunkier than the other part of the flute, right? Like, no, they are all clunky evenly. Okay? But as you can hear, you can still play like real music on this. It's fine. So let's now do some articulation. It does everything that I'm expecting it to do. It's very predictable. So from the diagram that I made here, right here, so I'm just matching my tongue whenever I'm tonguing to the point, like I would say maybe like right behind where I'm like really concentrating that air bubble. And this is the case that for like flutes in general. Like this is what I would expect. Like once I've mapped out where that air bubble likes to kind of move around in the mouth, you kind of like, when you tongue, you place your tongue against the back of that air bubble. And that makes it as clean as possible. And So it's doing exactly what I expect, which is what you want. That's what you want for essentially a training flute. Yeah, this is essentially a training flute. So on a training flute, that you want it to be predictable and you want it to behave the same way as on a metal flute, and it is exactly doing that. So I'm very happy about that. Okay, I think I should mess around with just some tunes now. Okay. Has really good control. I did not expect to be able to diminuendo like that on this. That's impressive. So I do think upon doing that, though, I think it is going to be a little bit of a challenge for younger kids to really feel where those low notes want to sit, because they want to sit quite forward. So I feel like for kids, you're probably going to, like, if you're a teacher, you're probably going to have to get them to make certain vowels, like get them to think ooh, ooh, while they're playing like low notes. And that might just encourage them to play a little bit more forward. The high notes, someone was asking how high you can go. I'm going to see, at the very least, high B. I don't know about C. I think you can go to high C, though. We'll see. Let's see. Okay, you can kind of hear the high C sharp peeking out, at least. That's very impressive, because I do not actually think my carbon fiber one can sound that clear up there. That's really, really impressive. I think they really have updated and improved their flutes. This is really bad, because this is making me want a new one now. This is very bad. This is very, very bad for me. Bad for me, good for you guys. Okay. So, that's really good. That's really good. Okay, for kicks, just for kicks, I'm curious. I just want to push the bounds of this thing a little bit. My computer is thinking about, daydreaming right now, so it's taking its sweet time. Okay, let's try this. sharp trill. Okay, that's pretty impressive. That's very impressive. The high notes are definitely much improved with their update, whatever they've done to update this. Okay, I think what we need to do now before we completely run out of time is let's just play around a little bit with this embouchure. I'm calling it the penny whistle embouchure. I'm sure that it has another name. Okay. Does this thing tell me if it has another name? Patented first note lip plate. Is this the first note lip plate? That's what it's called. Cute. Okay. So I think the Genshin one will sound good on this one. Okay. Interesting. Because you cannot use your lower lip to manipulate how close you are to the opposite edge of the lip hole, you are forced to blow like crazy to get the higher notes to come out. Like you have to blow really hard to get the higher notes to come out. If you're, essentially if you need to overblow to an octave or something like that, holy cow. This is actually a very good demonstration of the fact that if you do not use your lower lip to kind of like push outwards to get closer to the opposite edge while you play higher notes, you have to blow 4 times as much air if you're trying to play a note 1 octave higher than the one that feels easy, right? So if you're playing like a B, if you want to like a upper end of low register B, if you're trying to get the B above it, you have to blow 4 times as hard. And that is exactly how it feels on this. That's actually insane. Okay. All right. If anything, for a person who is used to a normal lip, like a normal flute lip plate, this is harder. It uses way more support. Okay, it is very difficult to increase and decrease your airspeed at the drop of a hat. And again, it's because this blowhole here is at a fixed distance away from the opposite edge of the lip hole, right? So because it's at that fixed distance, you don't get that flexibility that you would want if you are a seasoned player. So I think this is really great for kids to learn their fingerings without worrying about their embouchure. So they can just like concentrate on one thing at a time. So once they've learned their fingerings for like a song or something like that, or a scale, then what you can do is switch out to this lip hole. And then because they're not thinking about their fingers anymore, they can really focus on their mouth. So that is definitely a good thing to do. So this can just help kids get a note out without the frustration, you know? A lot of seasoned players, you know, have experienced that when they first started the flute, they couldn't get a note out for like a month, more than a month, 2 months, something like that. Like it can be a very frustrating process when you first start. So I like that they call this the first note lip plate, because it sort of cuts into that, and at the very least allows you the pleasure of playing. You know, even if you are still working towards getting a consistent airstream on a regular lip plate. So that's what I think. What do you guys think while I clean this up and then move on to the next one? So the penny whistle mouthpiece, the first note mouthpiece did not work for you, Michael. I understand. It is a little bit difficult to play, especially if you are a seasoned player. Yeah. One thing at a time, you know? I definitely sometimes wished that I could focus on one thing at a time, but that's not how playing the flute works, right? You are doing 5 million things at the same time. Would I recommend this Nuvo flute to be played on the beach? You absolutely can. You're probably still going to get sand everywhere, but at least it won't, like, this thing is pretty, like, as far as I understand, this thing is pretty indestructible. So another great thing that I enjoy about this is that because it is made out of plastic, this is really good for kids as they are learning to care for a flute. So I think it is very unfair to expect that kids will have the dexterity and the hand-eye coordination to, like, you know, make sure that they never dent their flute, that they don't accidentally knock their flute into stuff. Like, kids are growing, so their limbs are constantly you know, they're you know, once they like mastered something, the thing is, like, their limbs grow like the next week, you know what I mean? And like, you know, it can get very frustrating for them to handle something very delicate, you know, like a metal flute. So I like the fact that this, you know, is a really good training flute that allows kids to not have to worry about handling it with like extreme care, you know? So anyway, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry. You know, I think, yeah, because I definitely can see where I have slobbered in it. Okay. Midnight, you knew I was going to do the E-Bear. Yeah. You know, when I want to push the bounds of a flute, like if it can play at the beginning of the E-Bear and be not only recognizable, but actually sound like what it's supposed to sound like, I'm like, okay, like, I see you. I understand. I see that, you know, you are, you know, like, you are a decent flute. You are a flute, you know? Yeah, I also love that this is on Flute Center's website now. I love it because this is honestly my childhood dream. This is my childhood dream. And it is a flute teacher's dream. Oh, it is so perfect for kids. So perfect. Okay. I am going to... I love that this is basically a Weissman style case. This is like actually insane to me. That's so cool. Okay, we're gonna put that off to the side, and I'm going to, don't worry guys, I will adequately, you know, like, clean this later. Okay, put that off to the side. And I think just to complete this, even though I have spent way too long on this already. I will grab my own carbon fiber one just so that you guys can have sort of like a comparison. So this is the one that was gifted to me by you guys. So this was gifted to me several years ago now. And as you can see, so let me switch over to this one. Do you see how this case is not as nice as that one? Like it doesn't open up like an actual flute case. So I like the fact that they have updated that. This one, you slide it out like this. And it very much feels like a toy, like as a result. Not that it doesn't protect the flute, it does. The inside is fashioned more like a typical flute case where you lay the flute in. I like the suspension. So here's me hoping that they do something similar for these ones. But as you can see, it does not have the extensions out here. So this is clearly for I think older players. But you can see how the end is the same. It's just that it doesn't have the little extensions so that you can play low D. This one has an actual C foot. So you'll see that the C sharp and C keys overhang. So this doesn't work exactly like how it does on a metal flute. And they do it so that it's, you know, it's easy for them to upgrade, you know, like for, you know, customers to upgrade. So you pop it in and then you click it in like that. You rotate it in. And then we've got this guy. So let me just quickly play this for you guys. I won't play very much, but I'll play a little bit so you guys can hear what I mean. I don't think this gets the same amount of like fullness, richness, and clarity of sound. But it's nice. I still like it. It's just not as clear as the new one. Here we go. Bop it, push it, twist it. Okay. Do you guys hear what I mean? Like, you get some clarity, but it's not as clear. It's not as, like, it sounds more muted. Like, do you hear how it sounds like there's, like, it's like someone put a mute on my flute, you know? Do you hear that? Like when I'm doing like tone color, I don't get as much range, you know? There's not as much range. Okay, I just blasted through everything that I usually test just so you guys can have that comparison. You guys can like look back to what I did with the J flute. And yeah, it's just like, it's exactly as Nicholas is saying here. It does feel like I'm playing into styrofoam. Like it feels like something's muting me. So the new J flute, Nuvo J flute that we just looked at, it's absolutely an improvement. They've improved their flute. So I'm very happy with that. I think that's awesome that a company will do that. That's awesome. So let me play a few more things. Skip. See, it's not as clear. Like those high notes are a lot harder to play on this guy. Skip. Like I can still get a really good diminuendo on this thing, but like it's muted. It's completely muted. So again, let's do a little bit of E-bar just for your comparison. Gosh, I keep playing the wrong note. Those high notes are a lot harder to get. A lot harder. I can assure you I did not say skibbity, but if it makes me cooler, sure. Yeah, it sounds muted, right, guys? And I think that has been my top critique, not complaint, critique of my version of the Nuvo flute, and I feel they've improved it, like impressively so. I mean, also they made their case really nice too. So, okay, we will make sure that dries out. Okay, so now I need a drink of water. Okay. Yeah, okay, so I thought it would be nice for you guys to hear how my version sounds, so that you can really see the improvements that Nuvo has made. Nuvo, thank you for making awesome, like, my dream flute when I was a kid. Water. Bottle of water. Okay. And also Flute Center, thank you so much for carrying Nuvo now. I think that this is such a wonderful, like, it's just such a great instrument for especially kids to learn on. It's so good. I would have been beside myself as a kid if I got to have a J flute. I would have been obsessed with it. I would have played it all day, every day, and just annoyed the hell out of my parents. Oh, that's wonderful, Jane. I hope Lily enjoys Florida. Okay, All right, so now let's try out the, I think the piccolo is next, right? I think you guys wanted to hear the piccolo next. I'm also very, very interested in this as well. Let's head on over to our second camera here. So this all comes with your new Yamaha instrument. So I'm gonna, it's like a whole pack of like cloths and little like, you know, I don't know what other things are in it. It's like, it looks like an actual manual and stuff. So, but you have a gauze and you have a polishing cloth. Really great stuff. I'm going to keep, I don't think I need this to complete the review, so we're just going to keep that pristine. All right, so we have here our Yamaha piccolo. Look at that. Very pretty. Very, very pretty. Okay, so I'll show you guys a close-up. I think I need to put that under here just so that my camera can try to focus on my hand instead. There we go. Yeah, now you guys can see it a little bit more clearly. So it is full wood as far as I understand. Yeah, so this is handcrafted, carefully seasoned grenadilla wood head joint, carefully seasoned grenadilla body, undercut tone hulls, sterling silver mechanism, white gold springs, traditional pad, split E mechanism. Split E mechanism. Ooh. Okay. Yeah, I think that is, I think mine also does it too, now that I think about it. Very nice, very nice. There's that split E action going on. Okay. Comes with a little bit of cork grease for the neck. Okay, and then this, just so you guys can see it a little better. Pretty. Yeah, so this is a very traditional cut. There's no like wave or anything like that. So knowing myself, this is not going to be, I think, the most comfortable for me. I am noticing just how big the lip hole looks for a piccolo. That looks absolutely gigantic to me. I still have my Yamaha 62. I am so glad I did not sell it. I was going to. And you guys are probably like, why, Joanna? Why would you sell your backup piccolo? It's because I bought the Trevor James 5X. I bought it. Shh. All right. So this is my Yamaha 62. Granted, this one is quite a bit older. You can see that there was a spot for the cork grease, but it is no more. But yeah, it like looks to be a very similar build. If I compare the lip holes, they are a little bit different. They definitely carved it a little bit differently. I don't think it's my imagination. Do you guys see this? I think like it looks different, right? So yeah, this one is newer. What do you guys think? Yeah, different. So I wonder what it's going to do to how it feels, because I'm going to be completely real with you. I bought this Yamaha 62 years ago as my backup simply because I knew how reliable Yamaha piccolos are. They're durable. They stand the test of time. And I was just like, that's all I need. I was like, I know that it doesn't fit me perfectly, but I don't care. Like, this is just for me to, you know, get a good feel, like get a good durable backup that will, you know, serve me well if I need it. So I think what I'm gonna do here, I do have my my loop earplugs, so I am going to pop those in for like especially the really high bits. Let me do that really quick. I'm just gonna pop it in right now. Okay, so I will take both out, and I am going to compare them, because again, I'm just kind of interested to see what are like what they've changed in their design. Okay. All right, sweet. Okay, so I've got Yamaha 62. Thank God they're labeled here too, because they look so similar. Clearly they've upgraded the case. It's no longer like this was like the old style, you know, this like plushy kind of, you know, furry thing going on. That's how they did in the old. Oh, that's different. Okay. So there's a lot more cork on the old one. Like a lot more cork. Here, see that? Look at that. There's like it's like 2/3 the size of what it used to be. Interesting. I wonder why. If any of you know why, because I know sometimes flute techs watch my stuff. If any of you guys know what it does to the piccolo to have so much less cork on the neck, I am very interested, or on the barrel, that is. I'm very interested to know. Okay, so I think okay. Let's see. Let's see how this plays. All right. So we've got the two. They're both grenadilla wood. This one is just a lot older, like way older. Well, I guess if we compare it now, let's see what we're looking at. Okay, I'm curious, does this do, yeah, this is also split E. Yep, this is split E as well. So this old one is split E. You can tell that this one is also split E, because that key is going down. Yep. Yep. Okay. Like, the actual mechanism looks very similar. Like, you can even see how they did the B flat lever. It looks very, very similar, if not like the same. I'm trying to make it focus. Okay, that's slightly better. So the shape of the D sharp key, I would say they narrowed it down a hair, just a hair. Oh, okay, I spotted a difference. Here they've created a little bit of an offset keypad, whereas this one doesn't have that. Okay. All right. I would say my old one had much more of an offset. This one has much more of an offset G, whereas this one doesn't. Weirdly, I think this one will actually be more comfortable, because on a piccolo, it can get really cramped. Okay, interesting. Very interesting. A much, much larger G sharp key on my old one than on the new one. I think it's partially because this is so offset that this one has to come out further. Like the G sharp key has to come out further. Okay, interesting. So they've sort of redesigned it to be more ergonomic for, I think, most people to play. Like, brought back in the G. It almost looks like the G is like a partial offset. Wah! Sorry, guys. Okay. Yeah, it's a partial offset. Do you see how it like comes up a tiny bit and then it comes back down? Yeah, it's a partial offset, whereas this one is a huge offset. Okay, interesting. Well, time to play. So let's, I think, head to this one. Okay, so I'm gonna first play very quickly through my all the typical things that I test: harmonics, tone color, dynamics, mechanism, articulation. I'm just gonna like run through all of that, maybe do a little bit of the Genshin theme, and then we will see what the new one is like in comparison. Here we go. Gotta pop in the other one. It is very hard for me to get the upper harmonics on this one, so I think I'm not gonna really like push it. I'm just gonna try out some tone stuff now. Let's take this out so I can hear myself a little better. So I am finding I have to do much more of like a pew sort of embouchure for this piccolo. I never noticed that before. Goes to show how often I played this thing. High G always kills me. Always kills me. So if I can play a piccolo that like just snaps the high G out, I usually know that that one fits me very well. So let me try and find the high G. Okay. Since we are not fully like reviewing this one, I'm just gonna move on and see if it's easier on the G, like on the 91 instead of the 62. Let's do some like just a little bit of Genshin. Okay, I got for a second where I'm like, okay, I actually know where that high F sharp wants to be. It's way more forward than I think it is. No wonder it wasn't coming out before. That G hates me. Okay. I'm gonna now try the 91 and see what happens. I'm very curious. Very, very curious. Oh, okay, yeah, okay. Oh, well, okay, yeah, that G just popped right out. Okay, it's definitely easier for me to play. I think those high notes sit lower. They sit lower in the mouth now, which makes them easier to play. Especially that G. That sits way lower now. Like I don't have to like play like that with the air bubble really high. The air bubble can sit a little bit lower where I can actually feel it now. Interesting. Try to cheat that high B. Okay, interesting. So I guess I'll do some tone color stuff. I feel like I have more control. Because I'm doing like, you know, the same thing, like larger vowel, like wider, flatter vowel in the mouth, bigger for the richer tone, and then like ooh, like really narrow vowel for the hollow woodsy tone. And it's very responsive, very, very responsive. Like for not a wave head joint, this is actually surprisingly responsive to me. Typically speaking, if you guys are wondering why I'm having so much trouble, especially in the high register, I'm a wave head joint kind of girl for piccolo. I don't know what it is about my mouth, but I kind of need that, like, that extra kind of help. Yeah, there's something about my mouth that, like, I get very tense trying to make my airstream thin enough. And I think the wave style helps. But for not a wave style, this is impressively responsive to me. Yeah. So, okay. Mechanism is really nice. Very even. Yeah, very nice. Okay. Let's do because that was sort of tone color-ish dynamics kind of wrapped into one. Do I have the Konami lip on my Nagahara Mini then? I don't know if it's called the Konami lip, but it's the wave style plus carved lip plate. So for me, I like both. That's why I like the Trevor James 5X. Because it is a carved lip plate and it is wave. Is that called Konami? Yeah. So like I'm actually fairly impressed with how responsive this is to me because it doesn't have the style of lip plate that works well for me. Yeah, you're the opposite, waves don't work for you. Exactly. I think it probably has something to do with just like our mouths, you know? Like I think some people just like, you know what I mean? Like because the piccolo is so small, it's like everything is super tiny. And so like any like minute differences between people's mouths are going to make a huge difference in how a piccolo responds to you. So yeah, I've known for a long time that no like a completely plain carved lip hole does not fully cut it for me. I have to have the carved lip plate plus wave, or at least the wave, for it to, you know, feel like my mouth is in control of what I'm doing. The wave feels like it gets in your way. There you go. Because for me, I feel like I almost have to like create what the wave does for me. Like I have to create it with my mouth, which increases a lot of tension in my mouth, which is not how you want to play, right? So there you go. Okay. Oh, Kanichi calls it the Konami. Okay. It's so what I have is called the Konami. Um, the Konami like lip plate or like lip style. Interesting. Okay. Okay. Where were we? I think we need to do some you know, play with the mechanism and do some articulation stuff. So let's do that. Yeah, I feel like they have made somehow with the updated design, I don't know what it is with the updated design. I'm guessing it has something to do with the like how they carved the lip hole. Everything sits a little lower in the mouth. Like this to me has been my plaguing problem on a piccolo, is that little air bubble in your mouth has to sit so high in the mouth for those high notes. And I have a literal child-sized mouth. And so for me, I feel like I'm going when I'm playing up there, because I'm trying to like stash the air bubble as high as possible, and I don't have space. So I think that the reason why you guys are hearing that I'm playing like I'm just screaming up to the high G, no problem on this one, I think it's that the design has made it so that the air bubble and your air stream in your mouth generally sits a little lower. And because of that, it's a lot closer to how you would feel that you're playing on a flute. And thus it feels easier because I'm used to it, and also because it actually fits in my child-sized mouth. So I do know that there are people out there who have no problem screaming up into the high notes on, like, you know, the older models or like the older design. Absolutely no problem. And I think that's great. That's awesome. It's just that I know that it has been a consistent issue for my super small mouth. For those of you who don't know, I do actually have to ask for what's called the pediatric tabs, x-ray tabs, when I'm at the dentist's office. Yeah, I literally have to ask for the child-sized x-ray tabs. So, you know, I know that I have a super small mouth. So, yeah, I'm finding that the design of this has made it so that airstream sits lower, and it's so much easier to play for someone like me. Now, this won't fit everyone. I'm just going to straight up tell you guys, this won't fit everyone. Not everyone is going to like this. Some people prefer that air bubble sits really high in the mouth. So it all depends on you. A lot of times the people who tend to prefer the air bubble sitting really high in the mouth, they tend to be people who have overbites. And this is because you're actually used to concentrating your air in the top half of your mouth because your jaw is further back, right? So because you have so much extra space, you know, up in the upper half, you're sort of used to concentrating your air up in the upper half of your mouth. So a lot of people who have overbites, they tend to have a lot of problems trying to play low notes on the flute, because, you know, the low notes need to sit quite low and forward, and it's really difficult to do that when you have an overbite, which, by the way, I found out with the help of my student, a really great way to counteract that issue. What you do is you just kind of push very lightly on your left hand so that it kind of lifts the flute off your face a little bit, and that already makes the opposite edge of the lip hole further away from you. And so by the time your air hits it, it's a little slower, and thus it makes your low notes much easier to play. So that's just a tip for my overbite players. But yeah, my overbite players tend to do very well on the piccolo because you're so used to, you know, like concentrating that air bubble in the upper half of your mouth. You also, like, overbite players also tend to be very good at playing high notes on the flute. No problem. They just effortless, just comes right out. And so, yeah, you tend to play piccolos very well as well. So this is why I'm saying that with this lowered airstream in the mouth, this will not actually fit everyone. Just straight up telling you. It sounds better on me, though, because it does actually fit me better. It's a little bit lower. So there you go. Yeah. There you go. So Nicholas here is saying that you remember in the piccolo class with Sarah Jackson from the LA Phil, she said that wave cuts definitely makes non-regular pick players a lot easier to play. I'm now wondering if it's because maybe that wave style just lowers that airstream in your mouth, you know. Yeah. So, um, I I believe that, like, at least whenever I have taught the piccolo, I get basically 100% success rate when I teach my students to like stash that air bubble really high in the mouth, despite the fact that I can't do it very well because I have such a small mouth. So, yeah. Also, a keef piccolo being mentioned in the chat here is like, yeah, aren't those fairly rare now? Those are rare now, aren't they? Okay. Anyway, I think that's like kind of my main takeaway from this particular piccolo. Um, let's now do. I think I didn't do articulation yet. Let's do some articulation. Yeah, so I was just noticing that because I'm playing on a piccolo, my tongue, it's almost like I brainwashed my tongue into like trying to tongue really high, but it doesn't actually need it. I don't know if you guys heard, but it sounded a little like kind of like like that, and that tends to happen if your tongue is a little too high for your airstream. So I'm actually having to work to like lower my tongue a little. Yeah, that airstream sits lower. It sits lower than on the previous iteration, the Yamaha 62. Yeah, so um, the this feels like an in between. Like it feels like an in between, kind of like a traditional regular piccolo embouchure hole and the wave. It's like right in between there. I feel like the wave would make it just a hair easier on me because the wave also allows my airstream to be a little bit bigger, um, and which is closer to playing it on the flute. So, like if I played the piccolo all the time, I think this one would actually be pretty darn great because, nice thin, tiny little airstream, which means you can go on longer. Okay, interesting. Let's do a little bit of tunes. Oh. That is an insane deal you got because I'm looking at the price, the current price, okay, as of January 2024, 2025. The Yamaha 91 is going for $7,033.99. I believe this 62 goes for like 2,000. Is that right? Something like that. It's somewhere between 2 to 3,000. So I think it is both a lower model, but also the one I have is much older too. So this is very interesting because so the last time we did a review, I realized that as you get higher in the Yamaha models, at least the modern ones, they become less and less back playing. They actually become more and more like centered around the teeth. So, you know, you have to be a little bit more precise about what you're doing, but you kind of want that when you are at a higher level of playing. So I wonder if like this is actually intentional, that like as they're going higher in their models for the piccolo, like it just makes me wonder, like, are they like essentially with how they carve the lip cut, I don't know if they are intentionally like actually like lowering that airstream so that it's easier to play. I don't know. I might be talking out of my butt, but like it certainly feels that way. Let's play some notes up higher. I don't know if I can get that A. I might have to scream it. I'd have to practice that. I'd actually have to practice that movement. It's quite a bit different, like, you know, between the middle register and the high register, which is expected on the piccolo. Yeah, I definitely have to scream it out. It's not sitting where I think my mouth wants it to. But it's a great piccolo. It's a great one. Is there anything else that I wanted to try? Yeah, that high G just comes right out. Like, no problem. That's very impressive to me, at least. Oh, I think Michael's also suggested Stars and Stripes. I'll play like the beginning of it. Tell that I am not normally a piccolo player. At least I was for 1 year, got really good at it, and then I was not anymore. Oi, 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 oi. For Bilbo Baggins in the chat because your name is Bilbo Baggins. Okay. Yeah, you guys, I think you guys can really tell I am not like I don't play the piccolo regularly anymore. But it's still responsive to a non-piccolo player, which I think is fairly impressive. Hi, Josh. How are you? Okay. I'm pretty impressed. So okay, while I clean all this up, my general feeling is that jump between Yamaha 62 and 91 mostly is like the difference that you're really going to feel is where it sits in the mouth. The mechanism feels very similar. I think to me, I like the plate personally, even as a small-handed person. I like the placement of the keys on the 91 rather than the old 62. The old 62, I think with that crazy offset G, I think to me actually felt a little cramped. So I like their kind of like modern design of, you know, where the keys actually sit. But yeah, the main difference you're going to feel is that Airstream sits much lower. And so, yeah, you know, if you're not into that, you're not going to like it. But if you're like me and you're into it, you're going to be like, okay, this is a lot easier to play. So, I think what I need to do is grab my little piccolo flag here. We'll use that to clean it. Yeah, Yamaha flutes have been going hard the last 5 to 10 years. They really have. They really have. Like, I was quite shocked with how different their higher model flutes feel compared to how they felt, you know, when I first reviewed them, like before they started updating everything. Yeah. Ooh, I've not tried the YPC 87. The Yamaha 18K is your favorite, Josh? That must be so beautiful. All right. Also, Henry, I think I noticed you noticing my Discord hoodie. This was from the early days of Discord. I told this story earlier in the stream, but it's from the early days of Discord when Discord was still a baby. And we visited their booth at PAX. And you know, so it was expensive, and I was like, I don't care, it's such nice quality. Well, I'm gonna buy it, and I have not regretted it. It's a lovely, like, I've been wearing this for years now. So okay, so that is great. And then we have, I don't think I have done this one yet, so let me clean this one. An older Yamaha 581H, beauteous instrument for 2K. Wow, for 2K. That's a steal, isn't that? Isn't that a steal? All right. Okay. All right, we're doing pretty good on time. I think I can make it to 6 p.m. And not go over too much, because Hubs is definitely going to be waiting for me to do dinner. So I got to make sure I don't keep him waiting too long. Oh, wait. I wanted to see, like, I noticed that you pointed this out, the pointed key arm. Wait, I also need to polish this down a bit. Oh, you're right. Wait, I didn't notice that before. Oh, my 62 doesn't have it. Guys. Wait a second. Look, pointed key arm. That is so delightfully unnecessarily fancy, and I am living for it. That's great. My old one doesn't have that. I'm so sorry for how things look right now. My camera hates metal. but you can see how this one is just plain. This is my 62. Oh my goodness. What? It is so extra. It's so delightfully extra. Like, where else are you going to put a pointed key arm on a piccolo, right? They have the right idea. Yeah, we flutists and piccoloists love being extra, and we know it. The G sharp key is also pointed key arm. It's pointed key arm too. And the trills. The trill keys are also pointed. Wait a second. That's not the case here. Oh, I'll put it on the same side. Yeah. They're pointed. Oh, that's so oh, I didn't notice that. Wait a second. No wonder this was so much more comfortable. This is rounded. This is more like it's rounded all over. Okay. Also, there definitely are some extra differences between them. Some very obvious, visually obvious upgrades there. Boring. Price difference? Yes, for sure. I believe, I don't know how much the Yamaha 62 is going for these days. Let me look it up really quickly. So 62 these days is going for, as I expected, 2,600. Yep, 2,600. I got mine super used for 830, which was a freaking steal. So, let me put this off to the side over here. Yeah. So it is like, how much of a difference is it? It's like a 4,400 difference. It's a pretty big difference. Yeah, but surprisingly, the mechanism is still very smooth on the 62. Definitely very smooth on the 91. I'm very impressed with that. Like, this is a really good piccolo. Great. All right, Josh, we're going to work on the Cantabile right now. So, right, because I have definitely spent enough time on all of this. Okay, here we go. So we have here Pearl Cantabile, which I have not tried before. I actually went and looked up my old videos to find out what I have and have not tried. So I have not tried this particular model before. And I feel like some people have asked me before to try this model, so I'm really glad that the Flute Center surprised me with this. Okay, here we go. So I know you guys will want to look at it while I take it out, so let's do this. So we have here, oh shoot, I need to take off my wedding ring. I guess it didn't matter too much with the plastic flute and the piccolo, but it's gonna matter now. Okay, here we go. This is my silicone ring. Okay, so this is the Pearl Calore. This is the Calore cut head joint. Oh my gosh, my brain is not fully working. So we're going to put that off on this side for now so we can open up the whole flute. Let me, there we go. Okay. There we go. Immediately I noticed yesterday, holy cow, gorgeous, gorgeous wooden case. Like, that is a thing of beauty. So this is the Pearl Cantabile flute. Let me see here. So we've got, so it's sterling silver, hand cut head joint. And then we have two cuts here that we can look at. So yeah, sterling silver, hand cut head joint, body and mechanism, pinless mechanism, drawn tone holes, French open hole, pointed key arms, white gold springs, Pisoni pads, standard wall tubing, which is 0.016 inch or 0.40 millimeter tubing. So that is that's how thick the wall of the tube is. Tuned at A equals 442, offset G, split E mechanism, C sharp trill, D sharp roller, B foot joint. It has all the bells and whistles, basically. So this is looks like to be a great flute. So let's put it together, and we are going to start with the head joint that is in the case right now. This is the Forte. And when I first opened this yesterday, I was like, have I actually like tried this head joint before? And then when I actually looked up my own videos, oh, it's pretty weighty. It's pretty heavy. Probably because of all the, like C sharp trill, split E mechanism on it. But yeah, I looked it up and I realized that I had reviewed the Forza. So Forza or Forza. So yeah, I have not actually looked at this before. So this is the Forte. Interesting. Okay. So it's not a very rectangular cut. It's sort of like rounded on the edges, but it's not a true oval either. Let me just show you guys here. So I don't know if you guys can tell from this. Let me attempt to show you guys. Ooh. Here we go. So put focus on me. Yeah. So I don't know if you can really see. Yeah, it's like rectangular, but it's like rounded on the sides. Interesting. And then the Calore is this one. This one seems more rectangular. Yeah, more rectangular. Maybe a bit bigger too. So if we compare the two. Yeah. Definitely more rectangular. The Calore is way more rectangular. So I'm going to guess that the rectangular one is going to be more free blowing, I think. Like probably like bigger, louder, I think. That's what I'm going to guess. Okay. Let's put the Forte together. Okay, I am going to blast through all of the things that I test. So harmonics, harmonics, tone color / dynamics. Then we'll do mechanism, articulation, and then we'll play around with some Genshin, maybe some E-bar. Okay, here we go. It's a very heavy flute. It's quite weighty. Quite weighty. Okay, this is very interesting already. So it has the classic bottom heavy feel of a classic pearl. I just realized that there's a sticker back here. That's so funny. Okay, anyway. So it has the classic feel of a pearl, but it's not as like it. You don't have to stick that you don't have to make as much space in your jaw area. Because I remember before, I used to feel like I had to hold like, I had to imagine I was holding 3 marbles right behind my lower teeth. Or like that. I had to play like that the entire time. But this one, I'm noticing it still has that feeling of like you need to have more space in the bottom front of your mouth, but not that much. So to me, this is more comfortable. Okay. Okay, I think that high C wants to sit quite high. In like that air bubble wants to sit quite high, but I also have to maintain space in the right behind my lower front teeth. Or like I still have to maintain some space there while focusing the air bubble really high. So for me, it's a little bit like kind of splitting my mind into two. Took me a hot second to find it, but once I found it, you guys can hear how clear that is. So I was expecting it to sit further back, but it actually is quite forward. This is a very forward playing head joint. So it's similar actually in like, so your low notes sit on your lower lip. It's like the air bubbles there. And then as you go higher, I feel like a lot of the high notes actually sit around the front teeth, if not in front of it. So like the range of motion is only like going up. And then the highest note is sitting right behind the front teeth. So it's really, really forward playing while maintaining space in the like behind your front lower teeth. So instead of feeling like I'm holding 3 marbles right here, I feel like I'm only holding 1, which is much more comfortable for me. So this is very front of the mouth playing, plus holding a little bit of space in the lower front part of your jaw. It's interesting. I wonder if this just straight up fits someone's mouth really well. Like maybe you have naturally a little bit more space down there than I do because I have a child-sized mouth. And so this, you might not even feel like you have to hold like a marble or something. It's just I do because I have such a small mouth. So if you have a lot of space down there, you might just really like this. You know, very, very front of the mouth playing. Very interesting. I am noticing that this is tending to be a trend now, that more and more of these like newer cuts that are coming out, they tend to favor front of the mouth playing now. And I wonder if it's because you have actually, generally, at least for me, I feel that you have more finesse and more control over like very minute little differences that you might want to make between notes when you are allowed to control things up front. Now, not everyone is going to agree with me. For some people's mouths, it just works a little better to control everything slightly further back. This, I believe in at least in my experience of teaching, I think this has something to do with, you know, your native language and your, you know, your accent and stuff like that. So like where you enunciate things, you tend to want to control the flute in the same place in your mouth. So I'm kind of unsure why the general trend right now that I'm really seeing is that everything is going into the front of the mouth. I don't know if this is just, this seems to be something that maybe flute companies are noticing that people tend to enjoy their flutes a little bit more. Maybe it makes it easier for more people to play. I don't know. Maybe. So that's super interesting. I was not expecting that. I was expecting the space in the bottom of my mouth, bottom front of my mouth, but I was not expecting how forward playing this thing is. It's actually pretty darn surprising to me. So we'll keep going. Dynamic tone colored stuff now. Josh is making a really good point. Projection tends to be easier when you have to play more forward. Lots of makers have realized this. That's a really good point. It is a lot easier to project if you can control it from the front of your mouth. If you have to control projection from the back of your mouth, it's kind of like trying to shout from the back of your mouth, which doesn't really work. You know? Oh, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of, wow. I think that's going to turn into a short. Anyway, like it doesn't really work because it doesn't get loud enough, you know. If you're projecting from the front of your mouth, right, like if you're doing that is like, that's way louder, you know. So I think that makes sense. Okay, interesting. That's interesting. So Josh is saying more oval holes favor playing further back because the control required is more in the back. That would explain why I am feeling that, like, with modern cuts, everything is in the front, because modern cuts tend to be more square, whereas, like, you know, older cuts, vintage cuts, tend to be more oval and thus are more so, like, they tend to play more in the back of the mouth. You cut head joints too. There you go. Thank you, Josh. I really do appreciate when flute makers and flute techs are in my chat. So, because, you know, you guys essentially make me, you know, validate my experience and make me feel like I'm not a crazy person. I'm only somewhat crazy, right? Just not fully crazy. So, you might be coming out with a wood head joint in the near future. Oh, gosh, that's amazing. Oh my gosh, very excited. Okay, so I am noticing on this flute, because a lot of the space in your mouth needs to be behind your lower teeth, because of that, I find that in order to make it rich, I'm actually more so like giving even more space in there. So instead of going wide like this for a really like rich tone, I'm actually going vertical. This is reminding me of one of the Woodify rings that I tried. I can't remember which one, but one of the Woodify rings I tried did exactly that. So it like made everything vertical. I think it was one of the Woodify rings, and it was also the, you know, the rhinestone flutes that I tried? You guys remember that? So the rhinestone flutes, like the really like it like turned it into like super heavy wall. And for some reason, it like kind of turned the tone, like the tone color range or the tone color control, like 90 degrees. And I feel that that's actually what's happening here. So here, like normally I would think that I would create a wider airstream, wider, flatter vowel in the mouth, bigger, wider, flatter. And that will create sort of a richer tone because your airstream coming out will also be flatter and wider. But I'm not feeling that here. I just tried it and it doesn't really do much. Like, doesn't change the tone very much. But if I like turn everything 90 degrees and I really dig into like that lower space, I get a much richer tone. So I think that's how this works. So the tone color production on this Cantabile flute with the Forte head joint, it takes what I usually do for tone color and just flipped it 90 degrees. So instead of going flat and wide, I'm going tall and like really like digging into the space in my jaw, in the front of my jaw. And then when I want to have that like woodsier hollow tone, I'm actually doing a flatter, wider airstream. It's like smaller, but like flatter. And it sort of like cuts that richness down, and it cuts the amount of harmonics that you're hearing, which is why it sounds a little bit lighter, kind of woodsier sound. You don't get as many harmonics coming through. The more harmonics you hear coming through, the more like overtones you're hearing, the richer it sounds to you. So yeah, this is tone color production on this is flip 90 degrees from what I'm used to on most flutes. Again, this might just be something that is more natural for some of you. For some people, they would rather drop their jaw essentially to create a richer tone. And if you are that type of player, you're gonna like this. This is gonna actually respond to you. I am the type of player where if I'm like thinking to myself, oh, I want to make something richer, I tend to immediately go into sort of like a wide, big, flat vowel shape in my mouth. That kind of vowel. Anyway, that's very interesting. I'm gonna keep messing around. Yeah, so if you want to make it soft, don't let it sit low in the mouth. Don't let your airstream sit low in the mouth. Your airstream actually has to sit fairly high in the mouth, almost like playing a piccolo for the if you're ever playing soft. If you're playing really rich, you need a lot of you can actually put a whole bunch of air actually into like the front of your jaw. You can really fill that out, and then it makes your sound really, really big. Interesting. That's super interesting. Okay, we're going to mess with the mechanism. The mechanism is very bouncy, very light, very bouncy. I'm very impressed. The only thing is that I am noticing this is a very heavy flute. For someone as small as me, I think I would get fatigued playing this. However, if you are a taller, longer limbed individual, I believe you will find that this just feels more balanced to you. So for someone like me though, who's quite short, in comparison, this thing is it's like playing monster. To me, it feels like I'm playing a monster flute. It's a good flute, but I think it is literally too big and too heavy for me. But yeah, I think for taller, longer limbed folks, you'll really like this, because I think you're going to feel like it just the whole flute sort of balances itself out and also on you. So essentially it's proportional to you, Anyway, let's mess around with the mechanism. mechanism is like super bouncy, super like light and bouncy is how I would describe it. Really good for precision work. And like, I would say that the speed is not like, it's not very fast, but it's very responsive and even. So each key moves, at least to me, at the same rate, which feels really, really good. And thus it makes it very predictable. So, because that's what you need. You need predictability. If you can predict how the keys are moving, it's really easy to make your playing very even as a result. Yeah. But I would say it's bouncy, but not fast, if that makes sense. That's how I would describe the key work, which some people will love that combo. So perfect. Let's do some articulation. Actually, I want to play around with the auxiliary keys. Yep, bouncy. Yeah, so they're all bouncy, but not crazy fast. If that makes sense. They're sort of like medium speed is how I would describe it, but bouncy. So because of that, it makes them very predictable, which is really good. Okay, let's, yeah, now let's do some articulation. Tending to pull my tongue back too far for those high notes. Those high notes are really, really forward playing. So your tongue can really just kind of sit in the front. You know, like playing low notes is like what I call faux French tonguing, which is like tonguing between your teeth, you know, and then the rest of it just right up against your teeth. Like I don't even feel like I go into the roof of my mouth. That's how far forward this is. Very interesting. Very interesting. Do you hear how snappy the little trills are? And the little ornaments, very snappy, but not crazy fast. It's a really good combo. Woo! That A is so forward. That's crazy. Partially because it's soft. So I notice personally that the softer you play those high notes, the further forward they sit. So because I'm playing that high A really, really soft, I'm actually feeling it in front of my teeth, like in front of the top of my teeth. Like it's like the air bubbles right here, which is crazy forward for a high A. That's crazy. I love it. Okay, we're gonna skippity. So I'm getting an unexpectedly rich sound down there because I'm used to kind of like a taller, narrower airstream, which on this creates a richer tone. So I'm going to do that again and try and get that more woodsy tone, which I have to do the opposite of what I normally do. Test out the scale of the flute because Pearl has their own scaling. Interesting. I did notice that the C and the C sharp were not sitting where I was expecting them to. Like as I was playing, I was like, oh wow, wait more. So let me just kind of like play around with instead of F major, let's do like D major and see what we think. So that C sharp sits, I think, a little lower than I imagined because I was shooting, I think, too high. I think. We'll try, well, A major, that C sharp is going to have to be really low, though, to sound good. Let's try E major. Yeah, that C sharp needs to sit real low. Let's try A major now because A major is going to have to sit really, really low. Oh, interesting. I really, wow. I wasn't expecting to have to like aim so low on that C sharp. C natural as well. I think I noticed that as well. Like that's, you hear that? Like that second one is like way too high, but that's actually normally where I shoot it. I have to shoot quite low. Okay, so try doing normal A fingering, then try to add the G sharp key. Oh, okay. Lowers it a bit, right? I feel and hear a difference. I don't know if you guys do. I feel like the A with the G sharp, D sharp, and C sharp foot joint keys, I think it sounds richer. It sounds richer and a tiny bit lower. I'll do it again for you guys. So regular, and then as suggested. That's richer. Okay, Bilbo Baggins hears it. Yes, darker and lower is exactly how I would describe it. Ah, interesting. Yeah, so yeah, I did notice that I'm not used to the tuning on this one. Yeah, I'm not. For me though, personally, I'm noticing a much bigger difference on like when I hit a C or a C sharp. I'm like, whoa, I have to like aim way lower than I have taught myself to. Yeah, it can tell you a lot about it too. Interesting. Thank you, Josh. I really appreciate it. It is a very tiny difference. It's not a crazy difference, but yeah. I agree. I completely agree that my C sharp, Bilbo Baggins is saying, my C sharp is too high on the A major. It needs to be way lower, which I think like my brain is like super shocked, you know? Yeah. That's super cool. Okay, we need to try out the Calore because we were just on the Forte. So this is the Forte head joint. We're now going to switch over. Oh, I made it very slobbery. We're going to switch over to the Calore in our last 10 minutes here. And let's blow through everything that we normally test. So this is the more rectangular one. Yeah, this is more rectangular. So it might be even more forward playing. Yeah, this is more rectangular. Okay. So it might be more forward playing, more projecting, bigger, more in your face, I think. Okay. Let's blow through all of the things we normally do. Harmonics, tone, color, dynamics, mechanism, articulation, and then messing around on like, Genshin. It is way more forward. Like, wow, this is very forward. But it does still have the classic Pearl feel. Like, I feel like I'm holding one marble behind my bottom front teeth. Be. Okay, that is really forward. Dare I say, too forward for me. Wow. Okay. the marble is actually like half the marble is behind my lower front teeth and the other half is in front of my lower front teeth. Like it's basically the Forte, but like the Forte head joint, but more forward. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I feel like I'm playing like I have to actually like I have to extend my lips forward to play this. It sounds great, but my god, is it forward. Wow. This is so forward that when you are double tonguing on high notes, it's still like against more so the bottom of your front teeth, which is insanely forward. Usually that should sound like up there, but it's like clear. Wow. Woo! That is so forward. So if you feel like no flute is forward enough for you, you should definitely try the Calore cut on the Pearl Cantabile. Wow. That is normally flutes are never like they're never too far forward for me. It's like usually I prefer the more forward playing style. But I think this is actually too forward for me. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. It's great though because, you know, more accessibility, more people can play comfortably, you know? So it's yeah, if you feel like no flute plays forward enough for you, you should try this one. Definitely should try this one. Okay, let's mess around. Due to the very forward playing, two things I'm noticing. One is that the color of this does tend to be brighter. I don't know if you guys are hearing that. Like this head joint to me sounds brighter than the Forte. And I think it's partially because you're so forward playing. The other thing I notice is that because it's so forward playing, and for me, I have to like really stick out both of my lips to play this well. Weirdly, it's actually making it easier to correct the pitches. For some reason, I find it easier to angle the airstream low enough for the C sharp. Interesting side effect. Okay. Okay. Yeah, very forward. Extreme forward. Woo! I'm curious now. I know I didn't do it on the Forte, but I'm curious about the opening to the E-Bear. Wow, that's so forward. I hope I'm not messing myself up too much because I am practicing this on my own flute off stream. Let's try the Forte. This one is going to be a little bit further back. Okay. Okay. That was not very clean, but I was kind of distracted by like trying to figure out what the differences are. I would say that the Forte to me plays more traditionally like what you would expect of like a flute. Like it is forward playing. However, you still need to pull back a little bit for, you know, pull back and raise like your little air bubble higher for those high notes. But wow, the Calore is just, everything's right up in the front. Really right up in the front. And so like, I don't know if you guys heard, but the Calore was like way brighter. Way, way brighter. Anyway, so let's just kind of like have some conclusions about this lovely flute. I would say, so for people who have kind of naturally a little bit more space in the bottom of their mouths, this is probably going to feel very natural. And I feel like that's a very distinctly pearl feel, is that, or it's kind of like there's a space down there, you know? And yeah, like I feel like if they didn't have that, it would not feel like a pearl. So I'm glad that they kept that. That's a very distinctly pearl thing. And it matches some people very well. I have had a few students who worked so well on a pearl. Yeah, they didn't particularly, at least not in terms of what they were describing to me, it didn't sound like they were particularly thinking of like holding marbles behind their bottom front teeth. It's just me because I have a small mouth. So for people who naturally have a little bit more space down there, I think you're going to really love this. The Calore is insanely forward playing. So if you if you try a whole bunch of flutes and none of them are forward enough for you, like you feel like you're like kind of somewhat choking on yourself, like like that when you're playing the flute, then try the Calore, see if that's forward enough for you. If you like kind of the pearl way of playing, You want it to be more forward playing, but not crazy forward playing. So something that feels a little bit more traditional. The Forte is really good. So, I wonder if like they were called this because I think Bilbo Baggins earlier in the chat was saying, and by the way, I love being able to say that Bilbo Baggins said this. But anyway, so I believe you were saying earlier in the chat that like Forte means like loud, big, and Calore is color. So I wonder if just like because it's so forward playing, it kind of gives off a much brighter color, and you know, it has sort of like a, I want to say like a more sparkly color as a result. So maybe it is called that because it is so sparkly as a result of being so forward playing. Try the Vivace cut from Pearl too. Oh, I would love to. In this case, I just asked the Flute Center to just send me stuff and to like surprise me. Oh, wait a second. I was supposed to read out the spoil, like this was marked as a spoiler from my email with Emily from the Flute Center. So I'm going to now reveal what she has to say. So all of these instruments are relatively new instruments for Flute Center. The highest pitch is brand new, so I guess the Yamaha 91 is brand new. I'm the first to try this model, which is usually only available in Europe. Interesting. So Yamaha 91 is normally only available in Europe, and I am the first person to try it. That's why it had like the crazy packaging. I don't know if you guys saw it in my like, you know, my short, but like it was like in this, and like I had to actually like open it up, like, and it was like taped to Kingdom Come. So I am actually the first person to try it. Holy cow. What? That's crazy. Okay. Let's see. The flute is a model that Emily really loves for handmade instruments. So the Pearl. And the third instrument is relatively new to us and super fun. The Nuvo. Wonderful. Flute Center, thank you so much for sending these along. That made for a really, really, really fun review. I'm so pleased. I'm so happy. That was so fun. Straubinger gold flute? Holy cow. Oh, interesting. Maybe they're trying to get back the old French flute colors, like the really bright sound, right? Is that what you're talking about? So it's what Jasmine Choi plays on. The Straubinger Gold, right? Yeah, I recall. Thank you, guys. I'm just going to quickly clean this up. Is this the Forte? Yes. So this one went in here. She has two identical 14K Straubingers. Wow, talk about a backup flute, eh? Holy. I mean, for her job though, makes sense. That absolutely makes sense. She cannot afford to wait on, like, you know, like while one is being COA'd. There ain't no way. She can't afford that. Yeah. The variety of the French tone with full harmonic coloring. Maybe that is what they're going for with the Calore. Yeah, because it's very bright, very sparkly, very like sweet sounding. You know, but it has the potential to go very rich too if you wanted to. Super interesting. Super interesting. Okay. All right. So I've wiped it down, but I think when it gets back to Flute Center, they're going to wipe it down again. So let's dry this guy off. So Josh, you usually use your 18K Lafon on your Straubinger. Oh, wow, what a combo. So I don't know if you guys know this, but I actually originally had my eye on Lafon for a head joint, and it was because my my master's professor, Linda Lucas, was playing on one. I don't know if she still plays on one, but at the time that I was studying with her, she was playing on one, and it just seemed to work really well with her Brannon, which was like a sister version of my flute. So I was like, and she played very similarly to me. So I was like, oh, Lafon will probably work for me. So I had my eye on a Lafon, and I was going to start trying a bunch of Lafons. I think like it was like I planned on like getting a whole bunch out for trial at the end of the year when I accidentally ran into the Monkas. But that, and then I tried the Monka. I couldn't go back. Like I you know, when you I was just like, nope, I change course. This is it. Yeah, Linda. Straubinger flutes are very, very similar to Brannon flutes. That's the feeling I get, man. I haven't actually tried a Straubinger myself, but from the descriptions of Straubingers and the types of people who enjoy Straubinger flutes, I was like, it sounds like similar to Brannon. Did I actually put this in correctly? I did. Excellent. Okay. So I'm a little over time. I better go and catch Hubs for some dinner. Oh, Jasmine also played on a Brannon before she changed to Straubinger. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. David Straubinger was very close with Big Brannon. There you go. That's so cute. You guys, thank you so much. I appreciate your very kind words about like my streams and stuff like that. I want you guys to know that this would not be possible without you guys. I would not have learned half of what I learned about what I have learned that is about flutes if not for you guys. Like this was not supposed to be possible. Like none of this was supposed to be possible. I mean, the fact that I can do this is an insane, insane blessing. So thank you guys for giving me the chance to do this. Like, thank you for watching and supporting. You know, you guys are the reason why Flute Center cold emailed me all those years ago in 2016. So like, you know, and I've really learned a lot on the job. And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. So thank you. Thank you, Blue Moon. But yeah, I really enjoyed the insanely awesome, nerdy conversation we had today. I'm so sorry I couldn't respond to everything because I need to make sure I could get through all of this. But I was seeing all of the really fun, you know, like insider stuff that you guys are talking about. I think that's so cool that we have that little community here. And, you know, I love you guys. So, you know, thank you seriously for giving me the chance and, you know, watching my stuff. And, you know, if not for you guys watching, then I wouldn't be able to continue. So thank you. And, yeah. You guys have an amazing weekend. All right. I'll see you guys sometime next week. I don't know when. I'm sort of flying by the seat of my pants because this week was a little bit of a wash because I'm old enough that not having enough sleep really affects me now. So it took me a while to get back on my feet because last weekend I did not sleep well. So yeah, but I do plan on seeing you guys at least once a week. So I'll see you sometime next week. We will do something fun. I'm not sure what. Part of me still wants to mess around with my C foot because a thing that I have been working on this week intonation, because I have noticed that my intonation is now different because the tube is now much shorter. So I had to work with a tuner, and I had to kind of like figure things out. So it feels a lot more like stable now, because now I have a better idea of what my instrument with the C foot feels like. So we may end up doing that if I can't think of anything else to do, just because this is what's on my mind right now. So, but yeah, if you guys have any, suggestions of like certain flute models and stuff that you guys want me to review, please let me know, and I will take it into consideration. I will not guarantee it. I have learned the hard way to not make promises on the internet, but it will go into consideration. And then we'll see what what we do. Quick, buy a Pearl Piccolo. So an 82 years old master's student. You guys know what it feels like, right? Like, man, like it getting, man. I love that you guys are cracking the Pearl Pick joke. Do the rest of you guys know where this Pearl Piccolo joke is coming from? So if you guys, I'll tell this last quick story. So a long time ago, I did a kind of like try piccolos with me, for me to buy my backup piccolo. And a lot of people, were, like, I guess to put it lightly, surprised that I didn't try a Pearl, even though it was not within the stated budget in that video. I wanted something sub 1,000, and the Pearl at that time was over 1,000. What I learned many years ago, or many years later, was that the Pearl in Europe was sub 1,000. In Europe, and I guess in Japan, was sub 1,000. But in the States, it was not sub 1,000. So I believe that's what caused a lot of, confusion. People thought I was snubbing a Pearl. People thought I was like that I didn't like Pearl. And yeah, it was a thing, guys. It was a thing. And so I got so overwhelmed by the persistent comments in that video, and I went and bought my Yamaha 62 without telling you guys. I went and bought my Nagahara Mini without telling you guys. I guess now I've also went and bought my Trevor James 5X somewhat without telling you guys, but that might be what we should do a stream on. We should do a stream on me actually properly figuring out my Trevor James 5X. So there you go, guys. That's the whole Pearl pick joke here. Is that it was a thing, man. It was like there was such a huge misunderstanding. So I really want you guys to like understand that the price of a flute really does, and the auxiliary instruments really does depend on where you are buying it. It will be different prices because it depends on like, was it imported, duties, like shipping fees and stuff like that. That all kind of like goes right into like what makes the price of an instrument. It's not just what it's made of and the labor. There's a lot more to it. So just because an instrument is one price in one country, it does not mean it's the same price in another country. And that is something that I learned on the job. And reaped a lot of misunderstanding in the comments as a result. Yeah, Canadian prices are really sad right now. Oh my God. Anyway, I've been talking way too much. I love you guys so much. Please stay happy, healthy, and safe, because there is no music without the musician. I got it right this time. I love you all. Have an amazing weekend, and I will see you next week. All right. Laters, guys. Bye-bye.